Hi, my name is Avery Covarrubias, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Mexican Americans and the discrimination that they faced, and just that there was a problem with discrimination over the world, and it's been faced for a very long time now. And I'm going to be talking to you about the different time periods that it was more cruel than others. And as a fellow Mexican American, I just think that this is wrong, and I've witnessed it, and there's no right in it at all. And so, as I review some sources, I've seen that the Civil Rights Act of 1866 aimed to defend these Mexican Americans and their rights by ensuring equal protection. However, in this time period, it was still heavy discrimination, and the rights were always upheld, but it was just very hard for Mexican Americans to just go about their business every single day, especially families when they just didn't want to be bothered. But obviously discrimination is a big thing, and it's just wrong. And as we look through the past, another act of discrimination was back in 1950, where Mexican Americans weren't considered intelligent and weren't considered human. And it was as if they were invisible, and they faced these associations of discrimination so much that back in this time period, it was just very hard for them to just work and find things like that. Just work, food, money. It was all just really bad. They faced many wrongings of intimidation, and they just settled disproportionately. Another was that Mexican Americans, as well as other Latino communities, experienced barriers to voting. This included a restrictive registration process of intimidation. However, the Voting Rights Acts of 1965 aimed to eliminate these discriminatory practices by prohibiting literacy tests and other methods of targeted minority voters. There's tons of stories and acts that would try to help these Mexican Americans in the West. However, there's just so much that Mexican Americans faced, and their protection is very just limited. It's very hard for them to be protected and feel protected in these rights because of what goes on back then and what happened back then. And as we know, back then it was a hard time not only for Mexican Americans but for other, like Black African Americans. They have also had a struggle, as well as Asians. It was pretty much just all races in general except for whites, because the white supremacy and stuff like that just kind of plays. As we look into modern day discrimination, we still see Mexican Americans in the West still being attacked. Donald Trump back in 2015 talked about the people from Mexico and how they were bad people entering the borders in California and how they bring bad to the country and the communities. He called them rapists, thieves, and just untrustworthy people. He talks about how he stands by what he said back in 2015. I don't know if it's different now. I mean, just knowing Trump and wanting to put a border up and stuff like that. But he said back then that he stands by what he said, and he means it. So let's roll to that clip.
Candidacy. The day he announced his candidacy in 2015, he made inflammatory remarks about Mexican immigrants.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
As we see that clip, it just shows that these Mexican Americans in the West in these modern times just fight for their lives, every life, and their freedom. And going along these lines, I saw a study that looks at Spanish and how they were used in the public throughout the first 18 months of the Trump presidency. And we specifically take into account how fear affects language patterns. And we know in the light of the presence of political environment, which includes overt anti-Latinx and anti-Spanish sentiments by the current administrations. There was a change in views about Spanish use among Latinx people. In class, we discussed Mexican mob violence, and I saw how this reading is really portrayed throughout Mexican and how it relates to Mexican racism activism. And it talks about numerous fronts of resistance against Mexican mob violence that have involved a government, communities, and people to strive the intricate issues related to the organized crime. And locally, the communities in the impact regions have taken matters into their own hands. And that's what I kind of just got from that reading. So all in all, in total, Mexican Americans, they face a number of problems in the communities today. back then and now in the West, that it was just very hard for them to kind of just be their own people, and for them to be a community. It's taken a lot for them to kind of just step forward and keep going. Although that there's many struggles and difficulties, I think Mexican American people have found ways to kind of create something for themselves, to better themselves and be more intellectual for themselves. Thank you.